Oh, there was a pen left. Hi, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Could you all rise for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President's declaration has already been read and roll call was previously taken. So, moving forward, report on our opening of proposals. Mr. Brennan.
The district opened proposals for new construction management services. The companies are listed on the agenda with the relative prices. They were Greyhawk Construction, Epic Construction, and Remington and Burnett. The board will act upon them later on in the meeting.
Number 7 on your agenda, presentations for ESIP is being removed from the agenda because the gentleman has some damage from the recent nor'easter. Number 8, construction management services. I'm not exactly sure how this works here, Steve, so help me out.
Okay, basically we need a motion and a second to approve that resolution to appoint Epic Construction, basically.
Okay.
It's a very long-worded resolution, but that's what you're doing, is you're recognizing the opening of the proposals and the interview process and the resulting appointment of Epic.
Before we do this, I would just like to inform the public that 3 companies were interviewed on Friday. Those interviews were conducted by Mr. Brennan, Dr. Stevenson, and the ad hoc committee. The ad hoc committee, Dr. Stevenson and Mr. Brennan all agreed that of those who presented, Epic was by far the most qualified, and that was also discussed earlier this evening. So Steve, you can move forward with that.
Okay.
Do we maybe just want to clarify that this Epic is in no way?
This Epic Construction Company is no way associated, related to, or has any contacts with Epic Environmental Services that we had in the past.
None. Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Mrs. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Kubricki?
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh?
Yes.
Ms. Palladino?
Yes.
Mrs. Paklakua?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And Mrs. Ernst.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 9 is Keystone Purchasing Network. Mr. Brennan, you want to give us a little background there because we had talked about this last week.
Okay, number 9 and 10 are related. The mobile classroom units that we intend to utilize for the construction for next school year, we can purchase through what we call a cooperative network. This network actually already went out to bid for the units, solicited competitive proposals, and awarded the contract to Mobile Lease. So by purchasing under that contract, the work was already done, and therefore we don't need to go out and duplicate the effort. So number 9 is authorizing us to participate in the Keystone Purchasing Network, and number 10 is to actually buy the classroom units in accordance with that contract with the Keystone Purchasing Network.
Thank you, Steve. Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Do we have a second? Well, the motion is we'll do one at a time, or do you want to block both of them?
Can we block? Yeah,
Okay.
block.
So we'll do a motion is to approve numbers 9 and 10. So,
Motion to approve number 9 and 10.
Second.
any discussion? All right, hearing none.
The only discussion for myself would be that this is so, it would afford this school district the opportunity to have full-day classes for the upcoming school year.
Any further discussion? Okay. Mrs. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Kubricki,
Yes.
Mrs. McVeigh,
Yes.
Ms. Palladino,
Yes.
Mrs. Paprikua,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes,
and Mrs. Ernst.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Okay, moving forward in discussion of the draft agenda for next week's meeting. If we could turn our attention to that, if I can get my little computer to work here. Okay, trying to go through this, logically. Let's just skip down to ed and policy. Mrs. Chambers sent out minutes to all of you on the last meeting of the Ed and Policy Committee. Anybody have any questions on those minutes or on the upcoming policies that need to be, some of them or most of them are second readings, so
Yes.
they will become.
Yes. Item B would have the new first readings. Item C is actually a regulation that corresponds to the policy 5116. Most of them are mandated, so the language is by statute. And also, we're repealing 5465 from the last meeting to make that official.
I have a question on policy, let's see, hold on. It's 7510, which is under B. So did that take into consideration some of the requests about our hierarchy of how we charge our community groups?
Yes, and if you look at the policy, or you haven't gotten a chance to, they are listed by a hierarchy and how they're charged, they're actually grouped,
Yeah.
okay? And when the policy committee did take a look at that, and actually we had Mr. Brennan in with the meeting to help us with this, since this pretty much goes through him and that department. And we didn't feel that there was any changes that were needed to the class groupings and also the fees that were assessed there. What the group or what the policy committee did feel needed to be added, okay, is at the end, and it's pretty much the last paragraph per se, or the second to last sentence. The Board of Education by majority vote reserves the right to relax, waive, or increase fees due to unforeseen, and there were only two there, and we've added the third one. Special circumstances, which gives us the latitude to do some of the things that we've done in the past with waiving those fees. Other than that, Mr. Brennan, along with the committee, didn't feel that there was any other necessary changes. That was gonna be part of my update that we're not at yet, because there was another policy that went along with that I'll explain once we get to that part of the agenda. All right, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else have a question on first readings or?
Just a parliamentary question on the second reading of policy 0164, which changes our agenda a little bit, and one of those changes is to have a board forum after the first residence forum. Is that going to appear on the next agenda, or does that have to wait until we approve the policy at the next agenda, and we'll make that change in the April meeting?
I'm under the assumption, without legal attorney here, that it would have actually happened at our April meeting, because we would still have to follow through on the second reading first, Mr. Kubricki, before that can actually be put into action.
Yes.
And yes,
That's
as
right.
Mr. Kubricki stated, there will be two residence forum under this policy, which will be in effect at the April.
Two
Board
board
meeting.
forums.
Two board forums, right. And the residence forums will still exist, okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions under education and policy?
Yes, item 6, out-of-district placements. second individual, second student listed,
It's just that.
right? It says this was from the start of the school year, right? It says enter date 9/6/2017. Why are we approving it at this point in time?
I'd have to look into that one, Karen.
Okay. Fair enough.
I will.
Thank you.
Is that a special ed student, or is that a regular student with special circumstances?
I'm
or-
not sure. I'll get you the information.
Okay, anything else under ed and policy, we good? Okay, moving on to human resources. Any questions?
The 1A, the resignation, I'm assuming that we will follow that. Will there be a job posting? Is that posted yet for that position?
It has not been posted yet.
So we shouldn't expect to see a replacement this month,
At the March meeting?
an approval for this month.
No.
Even though he's indicated in the letter that he will be leaving by the end of March? Does that mean we won't have anyone in that position?
We can place somebody as acting in that time frame while we do the search.
When are we going to post the position?
Within this week.
Thank you.
Any other questions under human resources?
I did pose some questions that I did write to Dr. Stevenson on, and I'm going to wait to comment further until she gets back to me. But they were questions on item 4A and also item 5.
Okay. All right, because I had a couple of questions regarding that also. I'll send them off to you because
Send them to me.
we need to know where we're headed.
Is that good with you, Dr. Stevenson?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything more under human resources?
Yes, under item 8, scroll down here, leave of absence. Will we need to temporarily replace that person, since they are a foreman on the job,
We have reassigned.
and reassigned?
We have somebody reassigned from the
Okay,
high
good.
school that's over here now serving in that position.
Okay, is that day or night staff?
That's night.
Night staff, okay, great, thanks.
Okay, moving on to operations.
Oop, wait a minute,
Whoops, go ahead.
Madam President.
Yeah,
Under 10 coaching volunteers, I see a lot of them are our staff, however, some are not. I just want to make the statement, want to make sure they have the required backgrounds.
I think most of them are repeats, so I
Yeah,
would
I
get
think
that
they are
we
too.
did
Yeah, I
that in
believe-
the past,
I'll
but
check.
maybe confirm.
I will confirm.
Thank you.
anything else? Under operations. Short. Finance.
Yeah, Steve, could you describe transfer 20? What's going on there?
Sure. If you recall from prior years, this is a budgetary transfer that relates to actually the 18-19 school year. Part of the preparation for the budget for 18-19 includes calculations based on the budget status as of January 31st. One of those things are limits on certain areas. In this case, it would be the admin limit that we can have. So what we'll do is, and we're permitted to transfer into admin lines of up to 10% without commissioner approval. That creates flexibility for 18 and 19 budget. So we're not limited, we're limited in 18-19 budget by 2 caps actually. It's a regional cap, which is the hard cap, or the cap based on January 31st, whichever is less. So it is more of a budgetary tactic to create flexibility for the board should they choose to use it for the 18-19 budget.
That relates to item 20?
Sure.
Yes.
It's not moving into admin lines. moving out of instruction and into legal and purchase services.
The 230 line is an admin line, the 240, I'm sorry, 11,000,230 is an admin line. The 11,000,240 is an admin line, and the 11,000,251 is an admin line.
You got it, Karen?
Yep.
Good. 'Cause
If there's
I
an
don't.
issue that the board doesn't wish to use that tactic, that's fine, I can remove that transfer, but it is just really to create flexibility.
So maybe we can talk about that at our next budget meeting.
Budget meeting.
And when is our next budget meeting?
Monday.
Okay, all right.
We
One
can go
question
to-
follow up on that, Steve, does that mean that our legal services budget is that much, 66,000 over what we had budgeted for this year?
No, it won't be it will be over, but not to that extent. What I did is I transferred in just under 10% into those admin lines to create that flexibility that's permitted, that's allowed to us.
And this would be 18-19 anyhow, so
It's actually
No, it's to
17-18
position us for
budget, but the
18,
calculation is for the
Right.
18-19.
Okay.
Position
Right.
for next year.
On transfer 17, Steve, is that because we've had an increase in home instruction over last year? Or-
It's coming out of home instruction.
Well, it's to cover home instruction,
18, no, 17. you said.
17.
It could be any number of things. It could be, yes, additional
Okay.
home instruction,
Mhm.
but also too, we might have to use services rather than personnel to provide that home instruction. So I would hazard to guess it's a combination of both.
That's something that has to do.
Any other questions on finance?
I do have some bills list questions, if anyone has anything before that. Sorry, Steve.
Okay, I'll do my best to answer them now if I can.
Okay, all right. The Amazon payment, quite considerable this month, especially for mid-year. Is it because the bills have been held up since the beginning of September or the fall, and it's just reaching us now? It just seems, it's probably one of the biggest ones I've seen, so.
More and more people are utilizing Amazon
Mhm,
because
sure.
how it creates a lot of, facilitates a lot of efficiency, and it's just easier for our personnel. It's one of the things that we implemented last year. The total amount, I know there's a number of different ones because of the way they bill, small dollar items, but the total amount is within reason for supplies. Where you would normally see it split up amongst different accounts, now they're just basically going everywhere. They're using Amazon where they would have used maybe 4 or 5 different vendors in a different department. So we found it to be quite advantageous for everyone involved.
I'm sure it is a lot easier than,
Yeah.
who doesn't use Amazon. So I guess in the future, moving forward, is this something where this is gonna be the normal for us to see bills like this for Amazon? Or is this just maybe this time of the year, whatever's going on?
I would hazard a guess it's increasing. I don't know at what point we're leveling off because more and more employees are utilizing Amazon as opposed to school specialty, educational data services, and other vendors. So while you're seeing it in one area, I think it's more of, they're not exceeding their budget. They're still purchasing within the budget, following the purchasing procedures.
Right.
They're just utilizing, more and more people are utilizing the same vendor than as in the past.
And our staff still have to go through their administrative departments to order this
It still follows.
supplies or whatever?
Yes.
Okay, it's not like they're just going on and ordering
No,
it.
it still follows an order can't be placed without a purchase order number. So it still follows the superintendent's approval
Okay.
process.
My next question, there's a bill on there for Holiday Inn in Manahawkin. Can you explain what that's for? I mean, it does say supplies, drama production. Was this something afterwards? I don't know what that is.
I think this relates to and I don't know specifically, professional service that was provided to us for this, either the set design or some of the equipment that was used for that, which was an out-of-state or out-of-town provider, so that was part of the bill
So
to
we,
provide that service.
we received something from the Holiday Inn that we're using from them, and this was the cost to use it?
So it was
No.
somebody who stayed at the Holiday Inn.
We
Oh,
Who
put
was
somebody
offering
up
his
there.
service.
gotcha, okay,
So it's part of the cost of the piece.
Gotcha.
I think it's equipment that they were used
okay.
to install or rent.
Okay, there's a new, and I'm assuming it's the out-of-district placement, the New Hope Foundation. Is that the recent, out-of-district placement that was required?
That is a homebound instruction account. I would have to
I
defer to.
think it's, I mean, I believe it's a school, okay, outside of Trenton. I just wanted to make sure that that's payments for, because it's something new on the bills list. And I'm assuming it's the new out-of-district placement.
That's a special ed education instruction, I believe. We would have to speak with our special ed director on that.
Okay, thank you. Yep, and my last question on the bills list, batch 62. J. Morano Contracting, they did high school, some kind of high school work. What is that for?
That was actually to remove the tile in the high school,
Oh, okay.
the second floor high school.
So that wasn't done by Cimatech?
I'm sorry, did I say they installed the high school? They installed the tile that was removed in the high school, the
Oh.
replacement tile.
Okay. All right, great, thank you.
Any other questions on the bills list? Okay, any other questions on the rest of finance?
Under training?
Yep.
Just a quick question, N, so that's for our new employee in that position, is that a training opportunity for that individual?
Yes.
Okay.
And is 8 new? That didn't catch my eye over the weekend when I looked at this. Was that added today?
Yes.
Could you just tell us what that's about, maybe?
That relates to the, and I'll ask the ad hoc committee to help me out, this relates to the concern brought up by our architect regarding the roofing material and some of the blisters that were brought to our attention. Tremco Roofing provided a letter offering a solution to that. And once we locate the specific letter that applies, because we were waiting for more information that came today, that might actually increase what we're trying to do. So what it is, it's a resolution to the matter that the architect had brought about the blisters on the high school roof.
So we're accepting a letter to say that we're accepting a warranty?
Their solution.
No, the warranty stays.
Right,
The solution
that
is
was
to
my
add,
thought.
if you read the letter, that once we attach it, it
Okay.
lays out their plan
Okay.
to rectify the situation.
So the letter will be attached to that item?
Yes.
Okay.
Letter would be attached, and also I believe it was supposed to go to our legal counsel for review.
It is in there.
Oh,
And was that sample ever tested? Because I think at the last meeting.
I think the remedy and what they were saying for our assurances and what they were willing to do, that they recognized the problem
Right,
and that this would cover any future issues
right,
exclusive of the warranty.
okay. So the exhibit will be attached, so everybody clearly understands what exactly the resolution to the issue was. Obviously, Tremco is guaranteeing their roof for the 20 years, et cetera. So this was the blisters which have occurred, at Southern Regional, et cetera, and what will be done in regard to those blisters.
And it's only at the high school, this product,
Yes.
was not
This
used
product
in
was
this
different.
building?
Yes.
This one was different.
This is a Garland.
This was Garland, that was Tremco. And it's a Tremco exclusive issue, and it's been in a couple of places.
Thank you.
Anything else on the draft agenda? Okay, let's move back to our regular, work session agenda. Under old business, committee updates, building and grounds committee and construction. Mr. Williams, you have anything that you would like to
Fluff Show wants to
add,
go,
or
and I can
Dr.
add whatever.
Stevenson?
What do you want me to review?
No, well, basically, our construction committee hasn't had many meetings. We're still waiting for Gabisson Roofing to finish out where they were at. They have their punch list, they have their manufacturer's punch list. They are substantially complete. Once the manufacturer's punch list is done, then they get the punch list from our architects, engineers, and construction managers to do, and they will proceed from there. Hopefully, we have that closed out, and we are anticipating putting out other bids to award for the additional work going on moving forward, and that will be through our new construction managers working along with us for our protections in the future. Other than that, the trailer's out front and awaiting for the finite list of what is going out to bid for the next phases.
Mr. Brennan, do you have anything you can add for us?
Seems to sum it up quite succinctly.
Do you just maybe want to elaborate on the trailers? And that allows us to
The
pursue.
technical term is TCUs.
Yes. It's not called
So-
trailers.
So when you
They're
hear
very
the
nice.
TCUs reference, that's what we're talking about. They're modular classrooms that are gonna be added on to the front of the junior high school. And they will be, they have to have all the hookups done, electrical hookups, sewer, fire alarms and all that. And that's in the process now of an application to the State Department, which will then go before the planning board, which will then go back to the State Department for final approval. Part of that final approval will be related to the functional capacity of the junior high school, making sure that, which we have a verbal confirmation, by the way, that it will be able to house students in here to allow us to have a full day session. And on the March agenda, on March 14th, which has not been approved by this Board of Education yet, there'll be a resolution for shared services of the facilities at Little Lake Harbor, specifically Frog Pond Elementary School. All right, and again, that is pending Board of Education approval on March 14th. So all of those things are in place now, and everything will be hopefully be final approved from the Department of Education, from the Ocean County office, which has been aware of the plans, but as I said before, there are many moving parts to this. And publicly, without a written approval and then all the approvals, I cannot speak on some things publicly. So it's not because we're trying to, we have this great secret plan. Well, we have a plan, but there are certain items that we cannot release because we have to get the approvals from multiple agencies. And we got the final approval from Little Lake Harbor's Board of Education to be able to share the facilities there, use of facilities. With regard to how we're going to use those facilities and what that happened, those are still in the works and planning. So if you're hearing things out in the community, as I say it all the time, if it's not coming from my lips or this Board of Education lips, then it truly is what it is it's not a fact yet. Okay, because there are still many things that have to be taken into consideration. Our staff has to have the proper notification and whatnot, so there are layers of information that go out there. So again, please, I encourage you that if you have specific questions, you need to direct them to the school district. And as best as I can, before things are publicly approved, I will answer those questions. But until then, we just need to make sure that the proper people get notified in the proper timing so that everybody is aware when this all goes to fruition and we share it publicly with the final version and everything else.
Thanks, Dr. Stevenson.
The planning board meeting, that's upcoming, so.
April 5th.
Okay, you said it was, guess it was in your update. It was rejected the first time?
We asked for administrative review without having to attend the planning board meeting, and they denied that, so we will have to go with our, with our architect, who's working with the TCUs and the facilities to go before the planning board to present.
A formal presentation before the planning board for approval.
Anything else? Okay, thank you all. Budget Committee, this is Pakaluha.
Yes, the Budget Committee met last Monday night in the board office with Dr. Stevenson and Mr. Brennan. We have not yet seen our draft budget. There's been delays associated with the computer virus that Dr. Stevenson alluded to in her update. So we did make the best use of our time, and we did look at, Steve had provided a lease purchase request list from the staff. It was preliminary, the list was extensive. The committee did look through it, and there will be further discussion on it. The discussion essentially alluded to, we wanted to make sure it included priorities and that it was aligned with our educational needs. And that also there was a request for, given their next year's situation at the high school, that nothing would be purchased for the high school. And kind of sitting over there, either with the dirt, debris, and contractors in and out, that could disappear. So that was the request from the committee, and we will revisit that topic again. Steve shared with us that there has been a change from the county and state with regard to the budget schedule, so we do have a bit more time. Our tentative budget needs to be submitted to the county by the end of March 29th, I believe. Right, Steve?
Right.
But at this point in time, the committee has yet to see a draft budget for next year. We do have our next budget committee next Monday. Steve had committed and Cheryl committed to working with the admin team. Hopefully we'll see a draft budget on the drive by Friday so that we can have a productive meeting on Monday.
Is that gonna be sent out to just the committee members or to the entire board, that draft?
It will be on the drive.
Okay, all right.
So just advise you that it will be draft. I think we need to have some board discussion about timing.
Timing and lease purchase.
We will first see the draft and work through that on Monday. Our original proposal was to approve a draft budget on Wednesday, at our Wednesday meeting. I don't know that the committee will be comfortable recommending a budget. I can't state that in confidence at this point. I haven't seen a thing. So we talked about a few options, and Steve was going to check in to see if there was any flexibility with how the budget was submitted, whether it needed full board approval and a resolution to go with it. I don't know if you were able to confirm that, and it does.
Yeah, it does need a full board approval. One of the key aspects of the delay is that Governor Murphy moved his governor's address, which is contingent upon us getting state aid, to March 13th. So it was very doubtful we would have a tentative budget available by March 14th when we don't receive our state aid figures till 2 days after the governor's address, which would make it March 15th. So that was really the crux of the delay and also the moving of the budget calendar.
Have
So
we
even
ever
for the
really
12th,
had,
no, so the agreement was we will assume flat state aid, no change, and we'll have to adjust
Build
when we get
around
the
that.
final numbers. I mean, we can't.
well,
We need
last
some
year
time
when we
to
did the
adjust.
budget, we didn't have the final numbers, did we, for
No.
state aid? Did we?
They usually come, I think, in early March, right, last week of,
It's the last
February.
Tuesday of February, so it
Right.
is that week. So
Okay.
we'll have at least the state aid figures, and it's normally approved in our March meeting as it's regularly scheduled, but this was an unanticipated delay.
Right. Okay.
so I don't know how, or if there's a recommendation from the admin team on how to proceed. Again, given that I don't wanna set expectations, I don't know what the budget will look like, I know that the board direction has been, given everything going on, next school year, a reminder is when the cost for the referendum will hit our taxpaying community. We agreed we had a focused effort to keep that increase as minimal as possible. I don't know what our starting point is at this point. So I'm confident that the admin team will do their best, but I don't know what it's gonna look like on Monday.
Yeah,
Or hopefully on Friday, so we'll have a chance to look at it before Monday.
Do you
So we
have,
will have our 14th meeting, which
Right.
the expectation is we're gonna pass a preliminary budget.
okay, well, we all know that that preliminary budget can change
Right.
up until, when is it, May, Steve?
So the budget hearing is May 5th, I believe.
Okay. What do you suggest as a solution to the problem that, okay, we don't have the numbers? I mean, is the committee recommending a special meeting? Is that necessary? What is the committee
So we
recommending?
could either change the meeting on the 14th to give us more time to work through that. I don't know if that's feasible. Or we could pass the draft budget. The working group has committed to continuing to meeting on Mondays to work through this and try to get to a budget that we'll all be comfortable with in the end.
or a special meeting.
Or a special meeting, budget meeting.
I would
Okay.
recommend a special meeting.
How does the board feel about that? I know we've been kind of meeting to death, but, it is the budget, and it would be the only thing that we would be focusing on and working on, for that special meeting, so how do the rest of you feel?
So we would be talking about a meeting on the week of the 21st, I guess.
In light of this year, the impact for what was approved by the referendum,
Right,
by the taxpayers, and all the other moving parts that we have going on with what we have, with construction and the TCUs and everything else,
right,
utilization of another facility and the cost of all that, I would really like to see the process completed, the numbers that the board is comfortable with, and then have a meeting for the approval. I think that's what would be required to ensure that this body is doing its due diligence.
is everybody pretty much in agreement that we should have a special meeting to take care of this?
Yeah, as far as the time frame for that, will you need an additional committee meeting? I know you're meeting Monday.
Yes.
Will you need an additional committee meeting prior to the special meeting
So
occurring?
we've committed to continue to meet Monday, so we'll have it set for
The
the
following
next two
Monday.
Mondays.
Okay, so,
And it has to
Steve,
be in
how-
by the 20,
I'm just gonna
Right.
say, how
Nine.
much lead time do you need, Steve, on your end for once it's a board resolution and you have that to submit to the county?
Not much at all. I mean, we could do it on the 28th and submit it on the 29th. At that point, we would assume that the budget is pretty well, tentative budget anyway, is pretty well formed. So the resolution is just more of a formality. If we need to make a couple minor adjustments, that wouldn't be a problem at all.
is it something that's submitted electronically, Steve?
Uh, Yes, and no, the resolution will be submitted hard copy.
Right. But the actual
The
tentative
actual budget is submitted
Electronic.
electronically.
all right, why
I
don't
would
we,
suggest
go ahead,
give the committee more meetings,
all
to
right,
work things out
Yeah.
before we schedule.
so that we're comfortable with the budget that we're
Okay.
submitting to the full board.
so could we all then look at the 27th, 28th, 29th, one of those days for a special meeting just for the budget, and,
Get back to you.
yeah, and get back to me. I don't wanna hold up
So the
The
week,
meeting.
I'm sorry, the week of the 19th or the week of
the
the 26th?
week of the 26th. They need 2 more meetings.
Minimally.
Right, my thought is, the budget committee chime in, my thought is we'll have our first discussion next Monday.
Right.
Again, not quite knowing where we'll be, we may
Okay.
need a second meeting, and then be able to present to the board.
And who are we notifying? Karen or you, Sue?
Notifying who, the rest of the board?
For the special meeting, we
Special
should.
You know what, I would be notifying you, I guess. Just send me the dates that are available, you know, which of those 3 dates work best for you guys. And, you know, my apologies to do this to you again, but it's gotta get done. So just send me what you can do for the 26th 27th, 28th, Steve, are those, we need to make sure Steve's
Has to be in by the
available.
29th.
Right,
The
which is a
27th would be out for me.
Okay, so the 26th or the 28th, boy, that's tight.
So the 26th would be better than the 28th.
Well, obviously, yeah. Or even the, yeah, 27th is out for Steve. So we're looking at the 26th
For the
or the 28th.
Saturday morning?
I could do either, so.
Okay,
I'll let you know.
Saturday morning, like, are you talking the 24th?
Roll it out. I haven't looked at my schedule.
I would prefer the 26th
That's a
or the
Monday?
28th.
Yeah, that.
Is that good with everybody else?
What time on the 26th are we talking about there? And I have a meeting until 6 o'clock, so I'd be running late if it starts at 6.
You can do 6:30.
Yeah,
I
it
can
might
make
be
it.
easier for Karen. Does that suit everybody? 26th, Monday,
6:30.
26th at 6:30. Are you good, Cheryl?
Yes.
And Steve, can you make sure that gets advertised too? Alrighty then,
And it's for purposes of budget only, correct?
yes.
Correct.
All right, number 3 under old business, policy committee. Anything more, Pat?
Yeah, no, I pretty much said it when we reviewed the regular agenda. We met on the 22nd of February, 8 a.m. in the morning. All members were present. We also had, Mr. Brennan was present for 2 of the policies because we needed his input. That would be for 7510, the use of the facilities, which we went over. The second one was the loan of equipment, and they're going to work out administratively what needs to be drafted for the loan of equipment by our staff, and then bring it back to the policy committee. The second thing we tackled was the Board of Ed resource manual. It took up most of our time, and we were limited on time that morning because of back-to-back meetings that were scheduled. We went over it in its entirety, we revised it, we edited, we took things out, we added things. Of course, one thing that does need to be added or will be the second reading of all the policies from the 14th. So our hope at our next meeting is to take a look at everything compiled with all the revisions. And our hope is to have the entire thing completed for you and the version submitted to you for our April meeting for you to take a look at and hopefully on there for its approval. Again, on the agenda, we have 5 policies there for first reading, 4 are mandated changes. We have one regulation mandated on the agenda. We had 4 policies we looked at that are put on hold until they're looked at by the administration. And there were 2 policies on the minutes that I submitted to you that no revisions were needed at the present time. So everything's in there in the minutes. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email myself or Dr. Stevenson. Our next meeting is March 22nd at 5:15 p.m. in the district conference room. Steve, thank you very much for your help with the 2 policies. It was appreciated by the committee. Thank you.
All right, previously, when we did our reorg meeting, the Board of Education decided that reading the Code of Ethics at our reorg really was not enough. And once we get through what seems to be a myriad of meetings, we do have some training upcoming by New Jersey school boards. But we decided that each month at our work session, we would take a moment to take one of the tenets of the Code of Ethics of Board of Education members, and we would reread and briefly discuss. So tonight it is the second tenet, which is to make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. Anybody have any comments or something that we would like to ask regarding our duties in doing this, and whether you really feel we're accomplishing this?
I'd like to make a comment. I think in many areas we are, but in some areas we're not. And I
Okay.
think when those areas come up, and there's always going to be a difference, not always, but at times there'll be a difference of opinion as what is in the best interest in the educational welfare of the children. And I think at those times, as a board, we have to remind ourselves of that provision. And we can discuss then and disagree on what that might be, but we should at least discuss that. So we, I think sometimes we don't discuss that, and when those issues come up, we have to say, okay, what's in the best educational benefit of the student?
Right.
And are we serving the needs of all our students?
Right,
And answer that however, as board members, we think, and dialogue a little bit more about that. in some
at the
areas.
time that the situation arises,
At the
you're
time the
basically saying.
situation arises, yes, and I think
Right.
that's the responsibility of each board member to bring it up then and say, wait a minute,
Are we making a
share
decision for
with me your
something
view on what the
other?
educational,
Right,
the educational benefit welfare of the children.
okay, all right,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
My thoughts regarding this tenet is, I would like us to have more discussion around curriculum in advance of approving the curriculum. I think we often focus on, I'll say, the extremes, right? So there's, for good cause, much focus on the needs of our special education students. We often talk about, making sure that our higher end students are being challenged and what AP offerings are we having and do we need to extend those offerings? A little bit of discussion, I think, about the kids in the middle
Okay,
and kind of how we making sure that they continue to be engaged and challenged and that we're meeting.
all right, a good suggestion.
Any ideas, Karen, where we would do that in our agenda? Because I agree with you,
Under
I'm just,
education and policy somewhere. Yeah, I don't know.
I think also maybe at the end of the night in the last, board forum, because, it has been brought up before that, we'd like to say goodnight to people, we'd like to say thank you for coming out, and, that sometimes they could be used for that purpose. Or, you know what? We add it to our work session agenda as a new item. Kind of would be up to the board, but again, Dr. Stevens and I are planning, we did it last Friday, was it? Spent a couple hours going over the agenda, trying to tighten it up, which I think has been successful this evening. So, maybe that is something that we need to look at.
so Susan, are you suggesting that as board members, if we have an item for discussion as it relates to the educational welfare of our students, we submit it to you and Dr. Stevenson, and then you decide whether to put it on a workshop agenda, or you're not suggesting?
Can I think about that? Because I don't really know if I want to be responsible for that, because something may not be of, particular importance to me at any given time. Could be to the rest of the board. So I don't want to sit here and say, well, no, I'm not going to make that decision. I just think that if it comes to Dr. Stevenson and we get together and we talk about the agenda, yeah, we've got time to do this. Let's do it. I don't think anybody's request to discuss something that is for the welfare of our kids should be denied.
And that would come under ed and policy.
Well, ed or
because it's part
policy,
of our
sure.
education.
Right.
Sure. Is that good, Stephen?
That's really good.
Okay, all right, good. That made you happy.
Right
It'd be
under ed
nice
and
when we have
policy.
time to focus on.
Yes,
that
and
then
we've
move
all
away
talked about
from-
that, the fact that if we could just get through some of this and really focus more on our kids and the educational process.
Yes.
Okay, that moves us to residents forum. Please sign in, you have a 3-minute time limit.
Checking.
What? Oh, and,
I'm gonna take that down.
well.
I'm gonna tear that down. Luckily I checked
And
that.
honestly, I'm not gonna allow this to go beyond an hour, so. And I'm hoping not even that long.
Wait for Mike. 58 minutes. 2 minutes, sorry. Only wait? We'll start yet.
Unless you can yell,
Talk loud.
talk loud.
Check. That one's a lot better.
A little way.
I checked earlier, I swear, guys.
Sure you did.
Set. My name is Dave Schlick. I know we usually ask, the way we've been doing it for the last couple of months is I ask the questions, you answer at the end. Maybe just eliminate some questions, you could explain more now about how the construction's gonna go. Are we closing it for the whole year? Is there set dates? We're still starting school here on time. No one's gonna be in that school at all. Sporting events, pretty much everything we're gonna ask. Maybe you guys could just tell the story first so we don't have to. Because then at the end, if there is more questions, anyway, I have a whole list and I'm just gonna run through them. And then, so dates of construction, start and finish was important. Kids in the school. Was there any leaks during this last rain? On the new roofing systems anywhere in the building? Dr. Stevenson, the grades from the first market period of last year to first market period of this year.
It'll be a moot point if you could just trust me.
Okay.
Okay.
Just figured I'd bring it up. How is the search for superintendent going? I understand we are looking for a new head of facilities. That's an assumption. Please fill us in. Karen, I have the world of respect for you. I love when you ask questions. And it's constant and I like it a lot. A real simple one. When are we gonna get a plaque for Christy? It's been a couple months. The poor girl's
Oh,
gonna.
you don't like my paper?
No. I think we could do better with
I
a
don't
wood
even have
shop.
one.
Come on. Those are simple. We have a wood shop over
Yeah,
there.
they should be making that.
They do make them. And I know we've all gotten them pretty promptly, actually, within the first month, so.
I think you guys are thinking of quitting, aren't you?
Sounds like a conspiracy.
And the last thing, I use the facilities in the boys' room, that hallway. Only one knob out of all 3 sinks, 2 knobs on each sink, 6 knobs, only one button works where water actually comes out. Sad.
That's true.
And that's it. Thank
Which,
you.
Dave, could you just tell us which restroom on, right here, up the hall?
Towards the main office, the one there,
And you
yeah.
make the left from the main office, I brought it up
Yep.
a month
Thank
ago.
Been like
Thank
that
you.
for about a year.
All right,
And thanks everyone for your service on the board.
thank you. Dr. Stevens, do you wanna take his questions and maybe we can avoid some of the rest?
Okay. I'll do my best to answer these questions for you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, first of all, I guess I should have stated it earlier, that the high school building will be closed. Okay, that's why we have the temporary classroom units, that's why we had to seek additional space, because we could obviously not house the entire student enrollment in one building unless we were going to be going into a split session format, which is something that this board and the administration does absolutely not want to do unless it's a dire emergency. So just understand that. But also understand, and I don't want people to get alarmed, but we're trying to be proactive in the fact that we will still develop a split session schedule to have in place, if not to use for next school year, but who knows what happens down the road. So this way that when we have to, if something happens, unlike this past year where we were forced to make very quick decisions and put together something that is very, very complex to put together in a short period of time. So, you know, which again was supposed to be a temporary situation, which turned into a longer term situation, which then created a seat time issue, and we go on and we go on and we go on. So that's in place. So the classroom units would be used, which will add the capacity to this building. The plans are for the high school to be closed. In fact, the construction management company that we just approved tonight, we will be in direct consultation with them immediately so that they can take a look at the plans and take their objective look at it and see if we can change some of the scope of the work to make sure that this junior high school, that the critical piece to this is that the junior high school cannot have major construction going on this summer just for the case that that's the only facility that we're going to have available to us. So the scope of that, the project at the junior high school will probably be changed a bit and delayed so that we can make sure that whatever we get done so that this building opens on time. You know, barring, again, glitches in a system with the TCUs. So say for some reason, I don't know, as we get held up in bureaucracy, that's exactly why we want to have a backup plan in place so that school starts on time. So I'm not going to tell you that, you know, everything is going to be done, you know, right away. We don't know because, you know, we're waiting for procedures. We're doing everything that we can, obviously, to make sure they're available to us and that we will be able to open the school year on regular time with full day sessions. However, if we have a delay, that's where that split session would open, that we may open the year in that phase if we needed to. And again, it's a backup plan. So please don't think that we're going to be opening a school year in split session unless we have an issue with the plans that we have in place. Okay? In terms of comparing the grades, that's why I told you it was kind of a moot point. We know the grades maintained actually overall, but we also know that that is not an environment that is conducive to the best education for our students, and we know that. Okay, so that's why the split session is really not a number one option and should not be. Hence as to why we had to make all these moves with the temporary classroom units and seeking additional facilities. Okay, so that was always on the back of our mind. Did I answer everything?
Just when is construction gonna be done over there? Like, we're not
Well,
gonna do this for 2 years in a row.
No,
so-
anticipated. And again, you got a new construction management company that's coming in that's gonna take a look at the scope of the plans. So with the anticipated, and again, please don't hold us to anything, because if, again, we're getting another set of eyes to look at this, you would be looking at a potential reopening of the high school facility in the fall of 2019. However, the gymnasium, what we're going to do is alter the schedule so that we may be able to open up the gymnasium in December of next school year so that we can accommodate the athletic facilities, because it is really, really difficult to run an athletic program and to have all of these facilities with just one gym. All right, so we're trying to get that impact a little bit better and get part of that building open so that we would be able to operate a gymnasium hopefully by December. Again, we're right now in a crunch with the bids and everything going out. So these things are all tentative numbers. If you hold me to those dates, you see, then, because I can't make those promises. Okay, I'm only telling you what the plans are, okay?
Okay, and kind of sports is kind of the same thing, that's why I was gonna get back to with the gym. So sports are still gonna use the fields?
Yes,
Maybe
the
not the
football
soccer
stadium and the track, once the bids go out and the bids are accepted for the work on the facilities, the track and the football stadium will be closed. Okay, so meaning that our track athletes will be at away events all through this spring, and our fall football schedule will be an away schedule, unless we can find we're working on some other ideas for that too. The football practice field over to the side, that will be open, so they'll be able to play sub-varsity games there possibly, and all of our practices. The remainder of the athletic facilities will be used, the athletic fields. Leaks in the high school.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there was, again, I don't have this confirmed, okay? There was reported that there was a leak, I'm thinking in one of the room, I can't think of the number of the room, it's not the D wing, but there. I do not know what the cause of that was. The other area that has been leaking, which is part of the referendum, is the back windows in the windows above where the commons area is, which has been a potential problem with the wind-driven rain the other day. It's been leaking. So that's being fixed, though, in the referendum, okay? But roof leaks in the remainder of the building, I did not have anything reported to me, but I will confirm that.
Very good.
The superintendent search, I was told today, over the weekend sometime, that we're not interviewing anymore. That is not true. We are. We have interviewed for 2 weeks in a row, and we have interviews this week. So the superintendent search is ongoing, and hopefully, we're kind of winding down here. That's, shortly we will have a recommendation. I think that was everything you asked.
Just one more about head of facilities, I don't know if you guys can
Oh.
elaborate on that.
Yeah, we're going to be advertising for that position very shortly.
And you'll get on that name plaque thing?
Name plaques.
First thing I'll do tomorrow morning.
Yeah, because that's on the top of our priority
Better do it soon
list.
since they close down the wood shop next year. It's gotta get done now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schlick. Mr. Apgar.
Couple quick questions. Your list number 10, mobile classroom units. Just curious, in the first paragraph, it talks about purchasing them. In the second one, it refers to leasing them. Are you purchasing or leasing?
Finish your questions and then
Okay.
when you're all done,
That's the
we'll
first
try to
one,
do that.
Okay? Regardless of purchase or lease, who's paying for this, these classrooms? Then we'll go back to number 9, Keystone Purchasing Network. Reading what you have here, that looks like a statewide purchasing co-op. Does that supersede New Jersey's state contract bids? In other words, if you purchase through this co-op, do you still have to go out to bid? Because I know normally you can only purchase off of state contract, not out of state. I'm just asking for a clarification there. The new construction management company, Epic, have they been vetted? We're not gonna find any, what was it Amy said, prior negative experiences? We're not gonna find anything on the internet? They've been background checked and?
Can't speak for what's on the internet, but I can tell you that, you know, they were vetted, yes.
Okay, good, thank you. Because we certainly found stuff on prior ones.
Yeah, right. Fire, please.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right, on to a more pressing
Sorry.
issue. What is the status that's been going around for the last week or so about a walkout? Is that going to be addressed by this board?
Okay.
By the students?
By the students, correct. I've heard, yes, they're doing it, no, they're not doing it, they're going to do it regardless of what anybody says. I'd kind of like to know what's happening. I mean, that is a top priority, obviously, within the country, and security issues. Moving forward, I guess this is addressed to Dr. Stevenson. Have we had any updates on the fire and security drill information?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get with
yep,
you after that,
yep.
thank you. You had mentioned earlier, Little Lake Harbor School District has approved working with Pinelands District. Is there any tentative arrangements of who's going where, what grade levels, or did I miss that? No? Okay. And last but not least, many meetings ago, I took several of you through this building, showed you mold, mildew, leaks. Has that been addressed? Because this building is not in much better shape than that one across the street as far with regards to roof leaks, mold, and mildew. I've walked the halls tonight and found at least 20 different fresh leaks. And this is a new roof, correct? We're supposed to be a new roof on this building? Because it's leaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Mr. Brennan, I'm gonna kind of ask you to talk about the lease, Keystone, contract bid, et cetera. We are leasing, correct?
Correct.
We are not buying, we are leasing, okay? And as far as Keystone, could you explain that they're out of state, so that's why we had to do that?
Yeah, I mean, local public contract law allows us to utilize cooperative purchasing agreements along with the state contract. They operate very similarly, but it's just another option that we can use. This particular one was out of state. That adds a little bit of a complication, but we received legal interpretation that it is permissible, provided that we're part of the cooperative, which is what number 9 does for us. We're joining that cooperative. So I believe that answers the question.
You did. And Dr. Stevenson, do you want to address the walkout? And
Okay. We've had several security meetings and the walkout did come up. I know that there are students were trying to organize a walkout. Our building principals met with the student councils from both buildings to try to dissuade that from happening, because we, as an administration, obviously in the Little Lake Police Department, were concerned that by putting our students out outside, you know, in a plan posted everywhere else, that's dangerous, and I would agree with that. So our students are currently working on additional ways without going outside of working on, you know, celebrating or not celebrating, but on honoring the victims and whatnot, and, you know, to stay clear of political statements, but to more or less honor the victims of the shooting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fire, security, et cetera, you're gonna,
Yeah, I'll talk with him.
okay.
Yeah.
And the last one, I think was mold and leaks in this building. I am not aware, I mean, it has not been brought to my attention, so have you been told anything?
He brought it up at meetings here before. It was brought up at
But these are
meetings.
new, Dane, new leaks?
Yeah, there's, I'll show you after, if anybody wants to.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm happy to point them out.
All right.
Okay.
Did we miss anything?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Grade levels.
Pardon me?
The
Oh, what grade
levels.
levels?
Oh, the grade levels. I think Dr. Stevenson spoke about that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, we
correct?
haven't made final, we obviously, if you take a look at the maturity of students, you're kind of getting an answer yourself for that question, but as far as what grade levels and who and what is going over there, that's still in discussion with the administration, and we would like the opportunity to be able to let our teachers know first the plan moving forward, okay, so that they.
After approvals that we need.
Of
That's
course.
the problem. We need approvals
Right.
before anything can be finalized.
So-
The only reason I asked Cheryl was because there's so many rumors running around the social media sites lately. You know, it was gonna be 7th grade, 7th, 8th, and 9th. I mean,
I
we can
understand.
imagine 9th graders being in the same school with 4th graders.
I understand the rumors, and I do, but, I can't answer to those rumors, number one. I can only answer to what has been discussed with this Board of Education in executive session and with the agency approvals that we have. So, to be honest with you, the rumors are out there, but I can't correct those rumors until I have all the right approvals in place. All right, and those are things with the State Department, those are all kinds of things that I just cannot disclose at this time until I have those approvals.
I think we can say that we're looking to have a minimal impact to our student base as much as possible.
Yes.
That is the goal.
Yeah, because there's,
Keeping
right,
that in mind.
yes.
That is the goal. Okay. Hi, Carol.
Thank you. Really quick, you've answered most of my questions tonight. However, my main question is, what about drama and chorus? I know a lot of these parents have, but that play right now is amazing over there. However, what is that going to do for them next year? Going to Stafford till midnight and whatever next year is unacceptable, let alone chorus concerts mixed with band for 2 hours in a gymnasium. What's going to happen with that? Everything's athletics. Let's open that gym so that we can have sports. Everything's sports. And I appreciate you caring about special ed, trying to get that out, because I've had a rough year up until today. We've had more issues today with special ed. So I appreciate that. But, what's going to go along with, those kids, I'm sorry, that play was amazing the other night, and they worked their butts off,
Is that it, Karen?
That's it, because you've answered the
Okay,
other questions
all right.
already.
I think overall that, first of all, Plan A, B, C, D, and F, and I don't think that all of the plans have been worked out to, their finality. And no matter how the plans work out, honestly, not everybody is gonna be happy. If the demand of this community was, you wanted your children safe, and it was decided that the best way to make sure that that happens is to not allow students to be in that building while work is going on. Well, we can't shut down the building, keep our kids safe, and still provide a stage and the wings and the drama. We can't. There is no way we can accomplish all of that. So I think what Dr. Stevenson has been trying to say is, we've got the admin team, she is keeping this board informed of how can we plan everything out to have the least amount of impact. We don't know that yet. Again, trying to, cross every T, dot every I, and think outside the box to make sure that we're doing the very best possible to keep our kids safe and still make sure that they're educated. In the end, not everybody is gonna be happy. I mean, that's just the fact of life.
My turn.
Okay, thank
Hi,
you.
Jim Passer. Got a few questions, please. I was wondering how the old construction manager was terminated. And I want to know, was there any money withheld from the construction manager because of this debacle that took place? I want to know, does the new construction company have any asbestos certifications? Again, especially since what happened to the roof. I remember in a discussion where the manager told me that he didn't have any people certified on the roof for asbestos, that he blamed the other company. So my question is anybody asbestos certified? Because the bids that are coming out in the future, it's going to take the front of the school off or something like that, right? So there's another good possibility there might be some asbestos involved. So maybe to prevent us from having that big problem, just a question. The TCUs, I was wondering why we can't get enough TCUs to accommodate all the students. And in reference to Mr. Apgar's question, he asked, where does the money come from? I don't think we answered that. And my question is, do we know the cost, or is that part of the bid process? Talking about council, if I remember correctly, we withheld payment towards the roofing contractor because it wasn't done. And I believe if I understood correctly, council said that we're gonna hold with money and they're gonna maybe take us to court to resolve the issue. So my question is that, is council best representing the board as well as the taxpayers? Going forward, because if we take the position, you know, we're gonna withhold money, then what's gonna happen is we're gonna have to go to court and we're gonna have to pay counsel to go to court. So that's gonna cost the taxpayers money. Going forward, I'm wondering, why can't we put in our bids a work must be completed date by? And of course, that's with the recommendation from the architect as well as the construction company, to come up with a reasonable date to do this project by a certain date. And if it's not done by this date, the contractor will pay back $10,000 a day. And I'm just throwing that number out there, whatever the number may be. You know, because it stops us from needing to go to, God bless you, it stops us from the need of going to court and litigation if it's spelled out correctly. You know, a date. You must have this construction completed. This way, you know, we're talking about getting trailers and we don't know how long we're going to have them, and we're talking about our athletic program, we're talking about this and that. If they start opening this building up and we start to have all kinds of crazy problems and now the dates get pushed back, you know, there's got to be a give and take where this project needs to be done. If we're going to start going gung-ho when the kids are out of school, maybe we can get that facade off the front and back up by the time they get back. And again, I'm just throwing that out there, that I really think that council, and I don't know who reviewed that contract, but I don't think council best represented the board as well as the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. In regard to the last contract, I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, the roof?
Oh, you mean the roofers, Kibitha?
Yep.
Somebody that was in the
Can I speak
interviews
to
could
that?
help me out with Epic, and because I know the question of preparation for asbestos, etc., was asked. So I'm not sure. I know that they have experts on their staff. They have dealt with this. They don't actually do the remediation.
Right.
Okay, they are, the one gentleman I know had like 35 hours or 40 hours in OSHA training. But they will not actually, they call somebody in to do that remediation abatement. Do I have this right?
They do
Tommy?
the oversight. We do know there's additional asbestos abatement over at the high school.
Right.
In the front entrance area of the roof. They do oversee it. They have the people that are certified to oversee it. However, they do not do the work, but would recommend a certified company doing the removal, not what we faced before.
Temporary classrooms, I don't even know how to answer that. I mean, we've gone out for 10, we were lucky we had them. I mean, am I right there? I mean, it's not like they're all over the place, am I right, Steve, or?
Yeah, to be quite honest with you, I wasn't involved in the decision of 10, but I know space and power were primary concerns.
Okay.
And the cost, how it's being covered?
Well, in the cost, it's being covered by the referendum costs. It will not come out, like we're not increasing, it's kind of part of the soft cost because now we've run into this issue.
Right.
As far as the rest of what you said, Jim, I thought you had some really good ideas there. So, in regarding litigation or, who's doing what to whom, that all starts falling under privileged information with an attorney, so we're not gonna comment on litigation or.
I'm not asking you to comment on litigation. What I'm saying is I don't understand how council can get us into a contract with a vendor and then we have to wind up saying we're not gonna pay you because we don't think that you did the right job. And the only way this is gonna wind up is in a court unless they settle ahead of time,
Right.
And it's
Right.
only gonna cost us money because council has to represent us. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, there are contracts that are established that there's a drop dead date of this date. And if you don't finish the job, and that's an incentive for the contractor. If I'm paying you millions of dollars to do a job, then you bring more people in to get this job done. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
It's like,
no, and I do understand what you're saying.
I can answer that.
Yeah, I mean,
It
there was
was-
an end date.
There was an end date. It was established in the contract what the fines would be. The contract was very finite, and it did have all the exclusions. However, in government bidding, you have the Fair Payment Act
Mhm.
that gives X amount of times for these things to be done and everything. So everything has to be established, what our loss would be before we can even make a claim, and that gets done between our professionals. Other than that, the stuff is, litigation is attorney-client privileged, and we can't expand any further, I don't feel, at this time, but it was very finite in the contract documents.
With Cabezon, with our roof.
With everyone we've done to date.
As for your ideas, Jim, like I said, I think you had some really good ideas.
Yeah.
And not that I wanna put,
No.
can I put you on the spot?
Yep.
Can you kind of contact Dr. Stevenson and outline some of those ideas moving forward?
Sure.
I know that the new construction managers have a game plan laid out, and their first thing obviously would be, once approved, well, we did approve them tonight, is to sit down and look at those plans. Where are we? What do they see different than before? It's like a fresh set of eyes. But I think if you spoke to Dr. Stevenson,
Right,
that would be helpful to us.
okay.
Right?
And the cost of these trailers that's coming from the referendum?
Referendum, yes. Hi, Kelly.
Hi. I guess not to say my name.
No,
So,
but you need to write
the
it
10
here.
classes that are gonna go out front of the junior high school, do we know what 10 classes will be housed in those 10 trailers?
No.
Okay, and the other question is, my child's gonna be a little affected because he's gonna be graduating and he's supposed to be coming to this school this year. So he's gonna be a little upset because he's not gonna be able to come to the junior high, and he's gonna be graduating, getting his diploma. And you're gonna say, well, there's a possibility that he'll be spending another year at Frog Pond School.
Yeah,
But-
we don't, but that has not totally been decided yet.
Yeah, but, the possibility, if it does happen, where will the other districts' kids go? Would they go to that school as well? Because we do house not only Little Egg Harbor, we have New Gretna, tuckered in, so
Once
would they
they-
stay in their own schools, or would they?
Yeah, no, once they are on our books and our enrollment, they become our students. So we are just using the facilities of Little Egg Harbor, but they're still our students.
They would be together.
Yes.
Okay, so that's,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Jamie Carnes, Little Lake Harbor. I will say, I'm a little disappointed. I still know and feel that this could be done in a better manner as far as not shutting the whole building down. Dividing it is done safely in projects everywhere. And like it had already been brought up, shutting down our drama areas and our shops and all that stuff. I mean, that can all be taken care of over the summer on 2 shifts, and then to shut the rest of the building down, that's fine. And I just don't understand I understand that there's people that are terrified to have their children in the school during the construction, but they wouldn't have to be. They would be 200 feet away from all construction, and everything could be isolated. So we'll say that. The other thing was the superintendent search. Now it seems, and I know we've addressed this and such, to still be going forward, and Dr. Stevenson, you've done fantastic, but you're not going to be here, and to have to be going forward with anything without having the new superintendent in place just still blows my mind. Like, there's no urgency to this. The building is supposedly safe right now. Okay, we have issues, whatever, but everybody's saying that the building's safe. Whether I believe that or not, that's not the issue. Everybody's saying the building is safe. So why are we pushing forward so urgently? If we were to put this off for 5 or 6 months and go back and say, wait a minute now, hold on, let's get everybody in place that's gonna be here. Let's take our time, let's plan, let's get our new superintendent in place. Maybe we'll go back to the public and build a new school. It still could be done. I guarantee it'll get done at this point because you got public swung that way. You only need like another 15 million, which I know sounds like a lot of money, but I guarantee you get it. I just don't understand the rush, and I appreciate what you're all trying to do. I really do. This is a difficult situation, and just seems to me from experience and such that it's scary. And I mean, even going ahead with the football field and the track, it just seems unnecessary to do that right now. It's not needed, and it's another thing that if you're going to try to get kids back in the gym, but then you're going to have other areas closed and certain areas of the fields closed, why not put that off a year? So that way you're disrupting even less. So that's just, I don't even know if I asked a question or what, but that's just my input that I needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. All right, I am going to,
Sorry.
you didn't jump up quite soon enough, Rick.
Well, I wanted you to have a
But I like you
chance
so
to take a
much.
good breath. When I came in, there was a huge conversation going on in the hallway about viruses, and now I hear that we don't have a draft budget because of the computer virus. Is that what I heard? But is there a computer virus rampaging through the district? That's my only question tonight. Thank you.
Wow. You want to handle that one, Dr. Stevenson?
Yes, there was a virus attack within the building that has been contained. It took some time. I cannot think of the name of the virus off the top of my head, but it was a quite severe one that is under control at this time. But what it did was it attacked the usernames and attempted to access our network system. And I cannot think of the name of the virus. Can you tell me?
Emotet.
What was that?
Emotet.
Emotet.
E-M-O-T-E-T.
Thank you. Emotet. So you might want to Google that, and that's what we had. We have to put in some measures and some new software and some new guards that we're going to be putting in. Phil, am I correct on that?
Yeah, we are looking to get some new endpoint security protection. We already have an extended trial because we kind of contacted the company. We are putting it in place already as we speak. It is containing it, it is catching it, We do need to do more in the process of removing it. It's a pretty nasty virus, pretty new virus too. I think the latest I've heard it was December of this past year. It's a banking virus. Even Allentown, PA's company got really hit pretty hard by it. So yeah, we're trying to do our best. We got lucky. It has not affected our network and our servers. It's just our PCs, our desktop, our Windows desktops. So hopefully we got this under control. We're pretty confident right now. We've been working our butts off, so sorry about that,
Thanks,
guys.
Phil.
Thank you, Phil. All right, last speaker here.
I want to answer Mr. Carnes for a moment. I'm not leaving the district. I will still be here, and the continuity of, me being here, I've been here for 19 years. So I think, the plan that we have in place is something that I think is proactive. And I think it's setting the table for a new superintendent to come in and just pick up where we're going. And I think it's the best for our students moving forward, and it's best for the community financially, simply because delaying construction could come at a cost in itself. But I understand what you're saying, but I just wanted you to know that the continuity is still going to be there. So just to clarify that.
Okay, our last speaker.
Jason Healy, Little Lake Harbor. You said that when the school closes next year, that the track and the football field will be closed. What is the closure of the track and the football field for? Is it related to the construction, or?
It was part of the referendum to redo the track and the football sod.
Okay.
The drainage,
The drainage,
system.
I mean, there's a whole new track system going in there.
Are the fields that are between the football field and the track and the school still going to be in use while
Yes.
the construction is open?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Just one clarification, you said that the track will be closed in the spring. Are you talking about this spring or this?
Yes, this spring.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to board forum. I'll just go around the table. Tommy, I think I'll start with you tonight.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you for all your questions. And the track and football field and site work is already out to bid. We're awaiting the results and the bid opening. That was approved last month, I believe.
Yes, it was.
So that is already underway. And I'm looking forward to what we have going on with our new construction managers so that this board, this public can be confident in what we are doing moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Misty?
Thank you all for coming. Dr. Stevenson, I expect you to chisel one for me tomorrow.
Go on it first thing.
And for yourself.
Yeah, and one for you.
I'd run that
Yeah.
down the wood shop yourself.
Thank you, Christy. Mrs. McVeigh.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. I'd like to personally thank Dr. Stevenson and Mr. Brennan for all the hard work they've been doing here lately. I know you guys have had to go above and beyond to juggle some things, and as a taxpayer, as a resident, and as a board member, I'd like to thank you both.
Thank you. Mr. Kubricki.
Yeah, I think the board is cognizant of the comments as it relates to the theater department and to the construction arts department. Dr. Stevenson has put together a lot of plan, and certainly getting the safety and the full day program, academic, are paramount. Certainly after those are set in place and approved, looking at how we can best satisfy the needs in terms of the theater arts department and the construction art department is also a priority. So if members of the community have suggestions as to, how we can go about and look at more alternatives, I'm sure Dr. Stevenson and board members would also be interested in hearing those.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephen. Karen?
Yeah, so thanks all for coming. I would like to congratulate our students, boys basketball team in their state win in their first round, and also thank our community member, Mrs. Wilkinson, for the donation of the scoreboards over at the gym. Wanted to recognize that. And also congratulate our drama program. First weekend was through, one more weekend to go. So again, just to recognize our students Thank you, our staff, and just remind everyone, our third round of interviews is not just this week, it's tomorrow night. So hopefully we'll get to a decision soon.
Mrs. Chambers.
Yes, I'd like to reiterate with Mrs. Papakua, I'm congratulating the boys' basketball team and their first state, one of the games that they did play, their first win. I know they didn't move on to the next round, but we're very proud of them. The clocks look beautiful. We were there, some of us were there at the unveiling, and I do want to thank Mrs. Wilkinson and her company for those donations. They look great. The drama department, great job. It goes on again next weekend, so if you haven't seen it, get out to see it. Mrs. Ernst and Dr. Stevenson, I'd like to thank you for your hard work in condensing our agenda format. I know you spent a lot of time on that. So I appreciate that because I think it helped make the meeting go a lot quicker tonight. Cheryl, Dr. Stevenson, I'd like to thank you for your comprehensive updates because it gives us a chance and a heads up and to ask you questions ahead of time. Thank you very much because I know that takes a lot of time to do. I want to thank the the Ed Policy Committee for your work and your time and your commitment because we've worked very hard on some of the things that have been given to us. To the Budget Committee, I want to thank you for your time, your continued time. I see the frustration that you've experienced, and hopefully this will work out and give you the time that you need. But I want to thank all of you, too, for your time. And better you than me, because it's not my forte. Mrs. Ernst, do we have any dates coming up for our new Communications Committee? Because I know the Ed Policy Committee handed over a few ideas to them.
I have not, I don't think at this particular point in time, and Mrs. McVeigh, correct me if I'm wrong, that Kim has set anything up?
No, not
Okay.
as yet.
Okay.
All right.
So, but I will reach out to Kim as soon as she's feeling better and
Okay.
find out.
And do we have any ideas in the future of when we're going to have school boards come in to do some training for us?
I would like to actually do it towards the middle of April. I just think we have all been inundated with meetings right now. So I'm hoping for April, but again, it's based upon their availability and what they can do.
And Steve, thank you again for your help with the Ed Policy meeting. The committee thanks you. Thank you all for coming tonight. Hope to see you on the 14th. Have a nice evening.
Oh, you don't want to listen to me?
Tell her to hurry up.
Yeah, really. I'll make it short. I really want to ditto what everybody has said here, but I especially want to thank the community. I want to thank you. I know that sometimes our discussions become, or your discussions become very heated. I know that you get frustrated with us, but we do like having you come. We do like hearing what you have to say. We do everything we can to take that into consideration. And we are also, along with Mr. Brennan and Dr. Stevenson, trying to give you all of the information we can possibly give you at any given time. And I have great faith in our new construction company because they've already laid out some really good info to how to get the information out to you. So I'm very pleased. Y'all have a good night. I'm done.
Motion to adjourn.
I
We have a
can't.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're adjourned at 8:38.
I need to know if anybody can do Thursday sick bag besides Steven.
Yeah, I can do it.
You can do it? Yes, let's do.
Thursday at 3:15?
Thursday at 3:15.
And you're the.
I'm just a computer technician out here in the computer IT department.
You can do it, right, Tommy?
I'll come again. Just let me know.
Thank you.
You get somebody else?
I'll read up on.
Stephen, Benny.